Good morning, all, and welcome to week 2 of our immigration Q&A series, where we answer the weekly questions that are posted on our Facebook page. Let's jump into this week's questions. Shanae asks, if my husband arrived on 11th of November and started his employment on 28th November 2022, and we can apply for residency after 2 years of him having New Zealand experience with his employer, are we able to submit our residency application exactly 28 November 2024, or would it be safer to wait a few weeks after that date? Shanae, I've seen a couple of residence visas decline recently where dates have been miscalculated. It's worth noting Immigration New Zealand counts dates in days, not in weeks and months. So I've seen a couple of applications that have been declined in 364 days. So my advice to clients and our approach is always just to give yourself a bit of a buffer before applying. Leona asks, we can apply for residency after 2 years of work, which should be around 9th of November 2025. We have 2 children from my husband's previous marriage, which we would like to include. Both are over 18 and they are still in SA. Do they need to be in NZ for them to be included in the application? Leona, for them to be included in your residence application, they don't necessarily have to be living in New Zealand with you. Leona also asks, we also have a minor child from my husband's previous marriage. Am I correct in saying that this child cannot be included in our residency application if we do not have full custody, even with the mother's consent? Leona, when it comes to custody, it can be quite complicated with residence applications. So this is something I advise you have a proper conversation with an immigration professional about. However, generally speaking, when it comes to a residence application, having the biological mother's consent is not sufficient for Immigration New Zealand. You would need to be able to prove that the father has the legal right to remove the child from their country of residence to live with them permanently in New Zealand. Nolene asks, when can a metal fabricator apply for residency if they're earning the median wage? Nolene, again, I prefer not to comment on residence pathways without doing proper residence assessments. However, metal fabricators that are earning the median wage are generally not on pathways to residence in New Zealand. So I would strongly advise you do get in touch with us so we can have a proper discussion about this. Christine asks, we are re-looking at our options. Should the main applicant be employed as a truck driver or correctional office? To what age can a child move over with family? My son is currently 19 and working, doing an apprenticeship, but still at home, and we are supporting him. What are the chances of him getting an apprenticeship either as a pneumatic fitter, trucks, or as a mechanic? First thing first, just reading the wording of your post, Christine, I'm going to assume that you guys are still in South Africa. So when it comes to occupations and choosing between a truck driver or correctional officer, truck drivers are no longer on the green list, so they don't necessarily have a pathway to residence in New Zealand, where correctional officers are on the green list and do have a defined pathway to residence. So if you were going to pick between the two, I would say correctional officer would probably have the better opportunities for your family in New Zealand. From a work visa perspective, you can support dependent children up to the age of 19 and under. For residence applications, you can support dependent children up to the age of 24 and under. If your son is currently working full-time, doing his apprenticeship, regardless of whether he stays at home or not, it is unlikely Immigration New Zealand would consider him to be a dependent child. Even if you were able to get him across the line as a dependent child, the chance of him getting an apprenticeship in New Zealand while you guys are on work visas is next to none. Number one, to get an apprenticeship, he would need a work visa. And as a 19-year-old without any experience or qualifications, he would most likely not be eligible for a work visa under the new current settings. So those are the questions for this week. Thanks for everybody that contributed. Be sure to jump onto our Facebook page and look out for next week's post. Drop us your questions and we'll hopefully answer them in next week's video. Take care.